Welcome to my OnlySands. This is your place for dimly lit, poorly shot sanding footage. All sanding, all the time. Some of you might know me from my other channel, Slingshots and Shenanigans. Well, this is where all of the raw, uncut sanding footage is gonna land. That's right, it's OnlySands. Today, we're working on an Alligator Juniper frame, and we are at 150 grit sandpaper. Let's see what we can get with this. Christmas sweater edition. I fold my sandpaper into thirds. That way you've got 3 working surfaces. I like to use up the first 2 and then do a light go over with the third one before I switch to the next highest grit. This is Alligator Juniper from New Mexico in my standard, one of my standard shapes. It smells really good. A bit like cedar, but I think Eastern red cedar is a juniper. It's a relatively hard wood compared to what I'm used to working with here in Alaska. So, you know, you can be a little rough with it. This is the most entertaining part of the entire build process. I don't know why everybody skips it on my other channel, but I figure for those of you who are in tune to the artistic nature of the craft, this might be your favorite part. So I've developed a channel entirely for you, weirdos. 150. I'm out of 180, so I'm jumping right to 220. Let's get to rubbing. That's about the pace I like to go. If I'm feeling wild, I'll slow it down or speed it up. But for the most part, I like to keep it nice and steady. It's starting to get pretty used up. Switch to the other side. We're working on 220, and I hope that you can see that right there. This side's got it pretty bad right here, just underneath my finger. That's what happens when you skip grits. You get these like little rough patches. And again, I don't have 180, so I'm just gonna keep rubbing until it's all gone. Takes a long time, but it's worth it. Comes out real nice. Again, this is Alligator Juniper from New Mexico. Just really taking my time, sanding out all the little teeny scratches. This is my second piece of 220, and just really going over it. You know, just looking at how tight this grain is. This is probably like, and I probably got 200 years of growth in my hand right here, and this came out of a much larger fork, so maybe we're looking at like 500-600-year-old branch. Not even tree, just a branch off the tree. Again, I don't really know like where it was harvested from, other than like specifically other than New Mexico, but it's really beautiful stuff. So excited to be working with it, and I just want to give it the respect it's due and really make it pretty. I'll give you a better look. The lighting is weird, so I can't even see if you can see it well, but it really is a beautiful piece of wood. It's really tight grain, really intricate stuff. A lot of weird growth patterns going, but that happens when you live in the desert, I'd imagine, and you don't have much water. So, yeah, we'll see. It also happens when you live in the tundra and you don't get much useful water or much growing season or much sunlight in the wintertime. Like we get 300-400-year-old trees that are as big around as my forearm. So black spruce are like that here. Wood is such a cool medium. You know, it's like as an organic substance, it's completely renewable. Takes a long time, but it is completely renewable as long as it's harvested well, ethically, you know. And multifaceted stuff. Like all of my scraps get used up in slingshots or burnt in my wood stove. And, you know, provides heat for my family. Provides a pastime for me. I clearly enjoy shooting them. Yeah. It's good stuff all the way around. The fun part about this is like your fingerprints disappear. Hand sanding for hours like this, anytime you need to use your fingerprint to do something, like open your phone or whatever, it won't take it for a couple of weeks. So if you're doing a slingshot every couple of weeks, you might as well just have a password, because the fingerprint deal don't work. We're almost done with the first round of 220. And then I'll get it wet. I'll pick up some of the snow behind me and get this wet and show it to you. And then we will let it dry. We will do 220 one more time, and then we'll do the same at 320. We'll do the same at 400. And then I'll probably, we'll see how we do at 400, how she looks. And then I'll probably do, probably put oil on it first to see how it goes. And then this video will be done because we don't do any finishing on here. This is OnlySands. So when I get to doing the tips like these, sometimes I'll do this by hand right here like this. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? But generally, I will take a piece of sandpaper and I will lay it on a flat surface. I'm gonna adjust my camera and show you that right now. Turn it so we can work some different sections of the paper. Yep, working beautifully. Got a little to go. Getting there. There we go. Done with 220. Let's get it wet. First round of 220, snowball. Give it a bit of a wipe down because I don't want it to absorb too much water. This is desert wood. I don't know that it's ever been snowed on before. I did a good job on that. I'm not seeing. One bad spot right there. Man, if that is it, that'll be a first that I've only got the one spot. Yeah, cool. Well, I got some sanding to do right there, just on the upper part of this line. That's about it. Then it's 320. Right on. $320. Coming along beautifully. All right, we're still here working on 320. Just coming along beautifully. Beautifully, beautifully. I'll give you guys a look at it when it's finished. And we're gonna do the wet dry coat, or the wet coat of, we're gonna get it wet, we're gonna sand it again with 320. And then I'll finish it out and I'll probably put a photo in the end here of the finished product. It's been pretty overcast and like the light is pretty shifty, so I don't know what you're gonna get as far as like video quality. But you'll at least get a solid finished photo. I can take a pretty decent photo. Are you not entertained? So the reason I started getting it wet every grit, once I get into like the real high grits, is because I was tired of putting finish on it and finding flaws. And they always seem to show up when you got a nice glossy finish on. So the best way I know how is to get them wet in between these high grits, and then it raises the grain and the flaws really stand out, like literally are elevated. They stand out. And then I am able to sand them down and proceed until I can get an extremely good finish. I'm also very critical of my work, and I often find like little tiny flaws at the end. But I think that's the nature of anybody who takes any kind of art serious. And let's be real, if you're gonna spend 6 hours sanding a slingshot, it's an art piece, right? Like, it is very functional. I'll be able to kill rabbits and birds and squirrels with it. But if it was just for functionality, there's no reason to make it this pretty. There's no reason to take this amount of time. There's no reason to use this fancy wood. So, here we are. Patience. Patience and dexterity. I need to start sanding with my left hand. You're gonna hear people say like never sand against the grain. That is a falsehood. Sanding against the grain is an incredible strategy for material removal. If you're trying to take out big heavy gouges, I would say I spend at least 50% of my time sanding against the grain. Granted, when it comes down to the final sanding and polish for each grit, I do sand with the grain or in a circular pattern. But like, never sand against the grain is a fallacy. Sanding against the grain is incredibly effective. Like, I'll sand against the grain for a while and then switch angles and sand with the grain, and you can remove wood much faster. We're finished. Sanded out to 320, oiled. And I may go back and buff this out with some steel wool and add some more oil here and there. But as far as it goes, for today, we are done. That is a beautiful, beautiful piece of wood. I hope that grain's picking up. I'll take some photos right now and give you a look at it. Really nicely shaped slingshot. Grips really well.